What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and today we have a good one. You guys keep asking me in my comments, Ron, you got to go over the home league values. Who are the biggest values on Sleeper and ESPN? We did a couple videos like that last year. I promise we'll do those videos again in August when we get some more home ADP to kind of shake out here. But I'll give you guys a little bit of a teaser here with one singular player. I want to do more one-player videos here, and today we're talking through my fourth highest drafted player on Underdog. That is an absolute steal everywhere else. He is going at the 87.1 pick on Underdog, 87.1 ADP. So that's like about, I'm trying to think through, I think it's like about a 7th round pick. On Sleeper, he's going 121st, Yahoo 127th, and ESPN 160th. You're getting like 3 rounds of ADP at minimum across the board on this player. So he is an absolute smash. This is a guy who I am drafting a lot of at the 87.1 ADP. If I was in a home league where he was available in the hundreds, I'm smashing that every single time. So with all that being said, we're going to get into who this player is on the other side of the intro. If you enjoy, make sure down below, subscribe, leave a like. Let's go.
Like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like I'm frozen. She gonna let me.
Now the player we're talking about today is Elijah Moore. He is the wide receiver 44 on Underdog, going as the 87.1 pick off the board. By the way, if you're new here, if you're new to Underdog, it is a best ball platform. It has the sharpest ADP. The reason why you should be on Underdog right now, even if you're not, going to dump money in and try and play for the big prizes in Best Ball Mania, go in there, try it out, have some fun. You draft teams. You don't have to set your lineups. You don't have to make any trades. And what you can do is you get conditioned to the draft room where you come around and you see Elijah Moore, 87.1 ADP, and you keep pressing the button around, 90th overall. Then your home league comes around. You're in the hundreds, and you look up and you see Elijah Moore, and you're like, oh my God, I've been drafting this guy in the 8th round on Underdog. He's here in the 10th round. Let's take him now. So you kind of condition yourself to your biggest values in your home leagues. It's a way of getting in some practice. You can kind of see, teams that have money on the line, right, on Underdog. The ADP is much more accurate and much more sharp, right? There's real money on the line. It's half PPR, so the wide receiver shouldn't even be pushed up 33 picks more than a place like Sleeper or Yahoo, but it's just absolutely insane. Now, I guess probably by the time August rolls around, this closes the gap, but I don't think it's going to get all that close. I think he's still going to be in the pick 100 range in your home leagues. Now, of course, promo code Ron, I'll have a link down below in the comments section, a link down below in the description. You click it, it takes you to Underdog Fantasy. It'll use my promo code Ron, and it will match your first deposit all the way up to $100. Now, why do I like Elijah Moore so much? Like, why is he my 4th drafted player on Underdog at such a higher price than he might be in a home league? And it's because he's talented. I like betting on talented players. And with Elijah Moore, he was an elite prospect coming out. We have the RS grading system, which is the prospect tier here. He came out as an elite wide receiver prospect. You can see these are all of the wide receivers from the last 2 years, so 2022 and 2021. Every wide receiver from 2022 and 2021 that has over 7 points per game as a rookie is on this list here. And you can see elite wide receiver prospect puts him in a bucket with Bateman, Burks, Drake London, Devonta Smith, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle. It is a really high hit rate tier of prospect. When he came out, he was a mega producer, early declare out of Ole Miss, really, really strong. Now, the reason I show this whole chart is I have a year 2 point per game projection model, right? It spits out, it takes into account like your points per game, your PFF grade, your routes, your yards per out run, all of that, spits out a year 2 point per game projection. And I just wanted to show kind of where Elijah Moore fits in terms of, taking into account his prospect profile and his year 1 production and where that would have put him through 1 year. And it puts him in this like small tier behind your Drake London and Olave, but ahead of your like Pickens, Dotson, Burks, in this tier that Amon-Ra St. Brown was last year. And you can see Elijah Moore, the PFF grade wasn't great, right? 71.8 or 73.8, but that's still not terrible. But his points per game, 12.56 is more than Drake London had last year. It's like barely less than Chris Olave. It's more than guys like Christian Watson had last year and Treylon Burks. He produced, and again, that's on an offense with rookie Zach Wilson. Also had 1.75 yards per out run, which isn't terrible. Again, in the context of a Zach Wilson offense, that's about fine. And then a 24% target per out run. He's commanding targets. He was producing as a rookie. He was a great prospect. He had all of the reason to buy in. Now, of course, that 13.45 point per game projection did not pan out. He had a brutal 5.5 points per game last year But I think the market is overcorrecting and kind of over counting last year, right? Because again, we have prospect profile, elite. Year 1, really good. Year 2, not great. And then it's just kind of his market price right now is kind of just dictated off of what he did in year 2. But you kind of need some context here. Last year was kind of really weird for Elijah Moore, right? He starts out the gate, he wasn't producing, but 7 targets, 5 targets, 10 targets, 40 plus routes in those weeks, just fine. Then Zach Wilson comes in week 4, right? Joe Flacco starts the first 3 games. Zach Wilson comes in week 4, and things just fall apart. 4 targets, the snap share starts to dwindle, 0 targets in week 6, and it comes out that he demands a trade. He's frustrated. He literally tells LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, like, go fuck himself. Like, he doesn't travel with the team to Denver. And then at that point, you're just fighting an uphill battle, right? He demanded a trade. He doesn't travel with the team. They don't trade him. So then he's like in the doghouse. You can see the snap share stuff, right? So the first game back, 17.9% snap share, then a 45, then a 54, then a 34. And he's running less routes in these weeks than guys like Denzel Mims on the Jets. As a Jets fan myself, it was super, super frustrating the way they used him last year. And just like they held it over him in terms of his like demanding for the trade. Like I almost wish that they traded him earlier if they were going to do this to him. It's a shame that he only played over 80% of the snaps after week 4 twice. He's too good, and the Jets wide receiver room last year was not great. It just made no sense. It feels very similar to kind of the Ayuk year 2, and that's what I keep coming back to, is that Brandon Ayuk year 2 where he like gets put in the doghouse for like weird reasons, and it just completely screws up his second year, and then he comes back in year 3 and has a top 24 season. And that's kind of what I see for Elijah Moore. Now, the counting stats aren't going to be great for Elijah Moore. The efficiency is not going to be great for Elijah Moore in this Jets offense. Everything from year 2 number-wise is not great, but we have Matt Harmon over at Reception Perception. Make sure you check him out. Matt Harmon, I wish I knew his, I think it's Matt Harmon BYB on Twitter, receptionperception.com. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing website. He tracks every single wide receiver, the routes they run, how often they're getting open, and he ran Elijah Moore's last year, 2022, through Reception Perception, and it was really surprising that Elijah Moore was good in terms of just getting open and playing the wide receiver position. All of the extra stuff of him like off the field and the quarterback play, when it comes down to was Elijah Moore playing wide receiver, getting open, looking good, he was. 74th percentile versus man, 78th percentile versus press, green on every route besides corner, post, and slant. And you have this little blurb from Matt Harmon where he says more success rate versus press coverage of 75.8% success is actually an improvement over his rookie year score. So it's not as if his play truly declined across the board. Now, 78th percentile versus press, for a guy who's like 5'8", sub 200 pounds, really impressive. Now, he says, simply put, Moore still showed on film throughout his difficult 2022 campaign what a fantastic route runner he is as a pro. He perfectly understands leverage and when to cross a defender's face when working over the middle or taking a route outside. He's a comfortable technician who has a strong understanding of timing, deception, and route depth. This is a talented player. He gets open. He runs routes well. He's good within his role. He has the Matt Harmon stamp of approval. And now we get to year 3. He gets traded from the Jets to the Browns. He gets a huge quarterback upgrade where he goes from Zach Wilson. I think it's almost underrated where Garrett Wilson gets all of this love for going from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. I think in the same way, we should be giving Elijah Moore a lot of love for going from Zach Wilson to Deshaun Watson now. He can now also play his natural position of slot wide receiver where you have Amari Cooper as like a natural X in this Browns offense. This was a guy in Elijah Moore who played 92% of his snaps out of the slot in college. He comes to the NFL on the Jets, and they don't have him run over 50% of his snaps out of the slot in a single game until after that week 7 sort of explosion where he gets away from the team, and he pretty much like demands, like, let me play my natural position. So he comes to the Browns here, and we'll show Harmon's blurb one more time. He kind of breaks down how Elijah Moore fits in this offense as a slot guy. And he says Donovan Peoples-Jones is just a guy. They desperately needed more juice in this group, and as reception perception shows, Moore is just the guy to deliver. Moore can operate as a team's vertical slot receiver in 11 personnel, or line up as the flanker in 2 wide receiver sets, while Cooper takes reps at X. Moore has ample opportunity to shine and command targets. Moore's highlighted success rate against man coverage in the intermediate area of the field is a perfect fit for Deshaun Watson, who thrived pushing the ball downfield in his Houston days. His ability to work underneath as a separator should also provide Cleveland's offense with an explosive layup target they just didn't have in 2022. The Browns' offense is poised to be a top-flight passing unit if their quarterback can rebound after playing remarkably poor in his 6 games last year. So that is all glowing reviews. Elijah Moore, he's a perfect fit in this offense. They needed a slot guy. They went out and got him. And he complements Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones very, very well. He can play in the slot in 3 wide receiver sets. He can play on the outside in 12 personnel or 2 wide receiver sets and thrive in that role. And you guys know I'm betting big on the Browns in 2023. You tell me, when you look at Deshaun Watson's years here, you tell me which is the outlier, right? He goes from, 60% plus completion percentage, 7.8 plus yards per attempt, and then last year in 6 games after taking 2 years off, under 60% completion percentage, under 7 yards per attempt. I think it is. I don't think that he's going to return right to that 2020 season where he has a 70% completion percentage and 8.9 yards per attempt, but he's not going to be a bottom 10 cornerback like he was last year. I would expect a more efficient passing offense. Kevin Stefanski's a good play caller. Last year was actually the highest passing volume offense that Stefanski has ever had as a play caller. They're going to want to pass the ball more. The moves they made this year hints at that, right, where they draft Cedric Tillman. They trade for Elijah Moore. They're going all in on this passing offense. They didn't re-sign Kareem Hunt or add anybody to this backfield. They're fine with Nick Chubb out there. They don't need to run the ball as much as they have in the past. They're going to throw more, and that's really exciting. To me, Elijah Moore, when you kind of wrap it all up, Elijah Moore to me is a guy you can get in the wide receiver 40s or, outside the top 100 picks in your home leagues that has a really good chance to finish as a top 24 wide receiver in 2023. So that is going to do it for us today. Again, as always, make sure you check out Underdog Fantasy. You can draft Elijah Moore right now pretty cheap. You can draft him even cheaper in your home leagues. You can use promo code RON on Underdog Fantasy. Get in there, draft some teams, get some Elijah Moore, get some Browns exposure. And if you're looking for rankings to use in your home league, I know some of you guys do have home leagues coming up, which is pretty crazy to me, but if you do, I already have my top 150 players ranked on patreon.com/Ron Stewart that you can use for your home leagues. I also have those rankings available to upload straight to Underdog if you want to use my rankings on Underdog. So that's all there. Patreon.com/Ron Stewart. Promo code RON on Underdog. That'll all be in the description in the comment section below. As always, I love you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed a shorter, just one player video. I'll probably sort of make a point to do it like one a week where we kind of highlight one specific player that I can, really dig into for you guys. But let me know how you felt about that video. Let me know how you feel about Elijah Moore and redraft this year. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like I'm